Joining me now, Maria Bartiromo, host of Mornings with Maria and Sunday Morning Futures. Maria, great to see you. Now, I noticed, everyone noticed, the markets noticed, that the president hesitated when you asked him about a recession. We all remember our history. We remember Reagan's first few years started off rocky economically. Is that where we're headed here?
Well, look, Laura, it's great to be with you tonight. I think what President Trump said yesterday was important because he gave us his vision of where things are going. Yes, he hesitated about the recession. I don't know if we're going to go into a recession this year. The president doesn't know if we're going to go into a recession this year. Here's what we do know. The Atlanta Federal Reserve said that they are expecting a contraction in the first quarter. We know what a recession is. It's 2 quarters of contraction. It's not any guarantee that we're going to get 2 quarters of contraction. But there's no doubt about it. Before President Trump even came into office, things were slowing down in a big way. I think what set the markets off today was the fact that we don't have the clarity in terms of where the tariffs are going, because President Trump has a much bigger vision than just 25% tariffs, and it's going to impact you over the near term. He's looking much longer term.
Yeah, and Maria, I think again that everyone knows I'm very pro-tariff. Okay, I loved how he rolled out the China tariffs in the first term, but remember it was handled a little bit differently because they did that 302 study, not to get too wonky, and they really presented a compendium of evidence as to why China needed to be brought to heel. Anti-dumping provisions, they laid it out in excruciating but very compelling detail. So it really made a lot of sense. I think with the fentanyl tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and then China gets only 10%, then we're doing a summit with China. I think that people can't process that. And I still have not heard a very clear explanation for why, as a fentanyl matter, that makes sense.
Well, I'll tell you why. First of all, the world has changed considerably in the last 4 years to 5 years, because it's a much more dangerous place, as you know, Laura. I agree with you on tariffs. I have no problem with the president's plan on tariffs. Sure, it will be disruptive over the near term, because in President Trump's last term, a lot of corporate America was pivoting away from China. They read the room. They saw the president's agenda. Let's pivot away from China. Let's pivot toward Mexico. They put a lot of their supply chains in Mexico. Now we're seeing Mexico as an issue because President Trump's ideal scenario is build it here. Bring your manufacturing to America, create jobs, and build it here. Yes, it will be more expensive. And right now, corporations are having to recalibrate. What is that going to mean if I have to fire up a manufacturing plant? It'll take 2 to 3 years or face the prospect of tariffs. The other thing is what I just mentioned. The world has changed. America can no longer rely on important products in the supply chain in our adversary, okay? We know that 90% of all advanced semiconductor chips are made in Taiwan. Think about that. 90% of all advanced semiconductor chips are made in Taiwan. What do we use advanced semiconductor chips?
Everything.
All of our technology, our military. So, okay. Get your head around that. We're going to use chips that are made in Taiwan for our military, and Taiwan could be in jeopardy of a potential upset from China. How about prescription drugs? 90% of the underlying components in our prescription drugs
100%.
that we need if we're sick are made in China. We know what happened during COVID. We know all of that, Xinhua News and all these other, propaganda media, so-called media, came out and said and threatened us and said, maybe we won't send all of those components for prescription drugs to America. Maybe they need them. Maybe they should get sick. That's the point. America has changed. The world has changed. It's a much more dangerous place. President Trump knows that. Well, he wants manufacturing here. How else are you going to get these guys to move their manufacturing plants here if you don't say pony up?
And what people don't also understand right at this moment, or maybe they can't see, or they don't really care, some of these businesses, is the economic boom that will happen when manufacturing returns. All these communities, Maria, that have been hollowed out over the years, their deindustrialization has wrecked so much of the Rust Belt. Those communities, if businesses can move back, that is good stuff. but that does take some time. So the question is, will the voters in the midterms, depending on how long this uncertainty goes on, and maybe it's not so long, the voters in the midterms, will they be patient? That I think is the question.
And that is the question, because President Trump delivered such an expanded, diverse voting bloc to the Republicans that includes Republicans, Democrats, Independents. How long will that group wait to understand these things take time? And they do. And so that's what's going on right now. By the way, markets go up and down. Nothing goes up in a straight line. I'm not worried about this at all. I would say I've covered business news and the markets for 30 plus years. Relax. Yep. We're going to see many days like this. Again, it's a transition period, and companies have to recalibrate the cost of taking it to America.
Yeah, they're used to the cheapoing it overseas. Time to bring it home, baby. Maria, great to see you, as always.